The congregation Chazam Sofer is a story about faith. It's also a story of 4 men whose determination to rebuild this 150-year-old synagogue on the Lower East Side of New York continues to be a driving force today. Moses and Eugene Weiser, Rabbi Azriel Sif, and Hank Sofer. For more than 40 years, Moses Weiser, along with his son Eugene, kept their faith, believing one day things would get better. Even in tough times when there was no money and barely anyone that would help them maintain the Chazam Sofer synagogue, they knew things would change. Their prayers would soon be answered. Hank Yaakov Sofer would take it upon himself to fulfill the commandment to help a fellow Jew as you would help yourself, setting in motion the example for future generations to follow and for others to emulate. This is the story of a new beginning, which will continue for the next 150 years and beyond.
The Lower East Side was the place. Chazam Sofer was also known by many people as the Clinton Street Shul, was a hub of activity.
I knew that this shul was going to be part of my destiny in New York and part of my ultimate legacy.
Somehow, a match made in heaven took place. Hank Sofer is a man who reads everything. He happened to have read this article about the Chazam Sofer Shul. He immediately got in touch with Moses Weiser.
I have been involved with Chazam Sofer Synagogue since approximately 1976, when I read an article in the paper that the shul was in danger of closing. There was a gentleman named Moses Weiser, who was really, at that time, patching the holes in the roof and serving as the rabbi, the cantor, trying to keep the place open. So I went down and spoke to him because I knew the history of the Chazam Sofer, since I've been fortunate enough to be a direct descendant of him.
Moses Weiser always had a glass eye. We never knew why. I didn't know why. Certainly was not going to ask him. Even his son Eugene never knew the story, or his daughter. He was in the concentration camp holding his children from his first marriage, from his first wife. And a Nazi guard came over to him and said, "Give me your children." And he refused. He held on tight. Finally, the Nazi, Yimach Shemam, took this rifle butt, smashed him in the eye, knocked his eye out, and took his children away from him. For over 40 years, we never knew the story. But when his wife passed away, he felt that the children were finally strong enough to understand what he really lived through. Moses Weiser was the one who felt that the only way he could repay God for saving him was by saving something of God's. What better place than the house of worship? What better place than the house of God? And from the day he entered America, Moses Weiser was determined to keep the shul going. In this case, it was Congregation Chazam Sofer, located in Lower East Side of New York, on 2 plots of land known as 8-10 Clinton Street.
I have devoted, as a labor of love, my efforts to restoring the Chazam Sofer to its previous glory, especially from 1892 until 1932.
There are those on the Lower East Side who remember growing up with the Chazam Sofer synagogue. There are moments, they say, when they go into the shul, and it brings back happy memories of the times of their youth.
You don't get the opportunity to work on a synagogue. You really get the sense from the people and the space itself, even from the wood, that it's a sacred space, a holy place of God.
The architects and renovators of this historic 158-year-old shul felt it necessary not to make this a new place, but most importantly, to keep intact the spirit and character of what was here before.
One of the nicest parts about the whole construction, from 8 o'clock in the morning it becomes a construction site. Before they leave, they always set it up to make sure we could worship the next morning. It's a partnership which is a real, true Kiddush Hashem.
I know what he went through, and I know what he wanted. He wanted to see the name Chassam Sofer remain forever. Even when he goes away, he wanted the shul to remain open.
It is my goal to establish the Chassam Sofer as the backbone of the Orthodox Jewish community in the Lower East Side of Manhattan. In our ongoing effort to completely renovate the Chassam Sofer Synagogue so that it will last for the next 150 years, we are dedicating many of the most important and prestigious areas of the shul to those who want to dedicate same to their loved ones. They will be establishing a legacy of benevolence that will last for years, naming them as an integral part of our accomplishments. The climax of this 30-plus year effort is directly related to our launching of the Sofer Sefer Torah. We have enlisted the services of one of the master scribes in the country today, Rabbi Wolfman, who has just completed the Sofer Sefer Torah in South Florida for the shul at Bal Harbor. He will duplicate his efforts in our behalf.
The dedication of the Sofer Sefer Torah is begun once again at the Chassam Sofer Synagogue on September 8, 2004. Esteemed rabbis, honored dignitaries, and generous supporters arrived to see the first letter written into the Sefer Torah.
By writing in this new Sefer Torah, we're saying the rules didn't change. The values are the same as they were from the time that were given to Moses in Sinai, 3,300 plus years ago. We still have it now, and this is our commitment for the future.
We will begin writing the Sofer Sefer Torah. We will have a Sofer, Rabbi Wolfman, who will write the entire Torah from the Beis and Bereshis until the very end. This week's portion, we read about a very special commandment, where each and every Jew is commanded to write a Torah for themselves. That even if it means writing one letter, or hire him to write one letter, you fulfill this wonderful mitzvah.
The Sefer Torah is just one more example of the rebirth of Judaism, of the Lower East Side, the continuation of that immigrant experience and the next generation and the generation after.
This synagogue, this refurbishment, this rededication of this historic shul is anchored on one side to our history, to our heritage, and on the other side to our future, which will be carried on by all of the people who will come into this shul, daven here, learn here, perpetuate the tradition of this shul.
The Sofer Sefer Torah is very special. Anybody that sees mortality also understands eternity. So if you want to eternalize yourself, you can internalize yourself by influencing your own life and imbuing it with a sense of holiness and meaning and purpose. Hank Sofer chose to invest his efforts and his wherewithal to make sure that eternity continues to live in the Torah.
The dedication of this Torah is in loving memory of Yaakov Hank Sofer's dear parents, Yitzchak and Chaya Masha Sofer.
My Jewish compulsion to help others was planted in me early by my grandparents and parents. I remember vividly that my grandmother, Mary Posner, who was like the matriarch of the family, during the Depression when I was a baby, the Jewish and Gentile people who needed help, who needed food to eat, clothes to wear, would come to the house and wait on our front porch. And my grandmother would always accommodate them to the best of her ability. And she would literally take the clothes off her own back and give it to others.
And we at Chassam Sofer are so proud to join in and to watch the Torah being written. We're going to be inviting in Torah groups, individuals, schools, any Jew who wants to know about the heritage. This is the place. And they could see the root of it all as the entire Torah be written from beginning to end here in our shul.
Rabbi Wolfman was born in Russia and studied in Jerusalem, where he excelled in the intricacies of writing the Holy Torah. He's fluent in every type of handwritten Hebrew script, making him an indispensable scribe and teacher. When he arrived in New York, he was filled with excitement and anticipation. He also stood out amongst the crowd in Times Square. Yet he fit into the city perfectly. Every student that entered the Chassam Sofer synagogue had the opportunity to learn how to write like a real scribe from Rabbi Wolfman. They learned about parchment, a quill, and specially prepared permanent ink to write the letters, the fundamental materials used to write a Torah. The parchment is made from the hide of a kosher animal, with the specific intent of using it for the mitzvah of writing a Torah. The scribe must etch in guidelines so that every line of text is equally spaced and that each letter is not touching one another. There are 304,805 letters in the Sefer Torah. As we study the Torah, we learn that the last mitzvah, the 613th one, is Hashem's commandment to each and every Jew to write his own complete Sefer Torah. We have come to understand from our sages that even if a scribe is enlisted to fulfill this mitzvah for a community, and each person only has one letter written on his or her behalf, the commandment is fulfilled by all.
Rebirth of this synagogue is something that everybody takes pride in because it is such a symbol for what is happening to the entire community.
When I first walked into this shul, I was in awe. I couldn't believe I was walking into the same shul. I was born on the Lower East Side. I was brought up on the Lower East Side. My parents had a store on the Lancey Street, and my parents took me to the Chassam Sofer shul when I was a little girl.
I have lived all my life on the Lower East Side, and I have many memories of living here. We were very poor. We didn't have enough for ourselves, but my father every Friday night would bring home somebody from the synagogue who had less than we, and we would feed him.
When I was a young man, I lived across the street with my wife when we first got married. And I came here, I said Kaddish to my father. This shul is a miracle. I look around, going to be refurbished. And at the time when I was coming here, it was falling apart. Somehow, somewhere, they still had hope. Over a period of time, this shul would be revived. And this is what happened. It's all a dream. And this is the Jewish way, to never give up.
The young are taking pride in the old, a realization that the history that's in the walls of an older synagogue can never be duplicated with modern construction, and the renovation and rejuvenation of the old is better than the building of the new.
The builders of the Torah Ark are a very special family who have been chosen with care and great respect for the work they've done in the past. Recreating the Aron Kodesh 3 stories high was a challenge for the Izagwe family. They worked tirelessly to make it exactly like the original.
It was many, many days and hours and nights that we spent on figuring out all the details. We really wanted to make every detail should be exact as the original. When I first walked into the shul, I was in total awe, and I wanted to be part of bringing back the life to the east side and to the Chassam Sofer specifically, the way it was 156 years ago.
The very first time I came here, everything that we see here today didn't exist. They were first starting to do the renovation, the construction. It was quite an emotional thing coming in here, not having been here in all those years, and then just literally going down to where my father sat was quite an experience for me. There would have really been no reason for me ever to have come back down here. I've been down to the Lower East Side, I've done some walking tours, but to actually come here to Chassam Sofer, the Clinton Street Shul, and come up the steps and come into this room, that was very emotional.
From computer programmers to attorneys, to young families just starting off on the Lower East Side, the Chassam Sofer Synagogue has been a home for them and is beginning to grow with its Jewish community here once again.
One of the most important things I felt growing up was having a shul and having a rabbi. And the type of people that were here, we have just such a varying range. I mean, every time we bring people here, they walk in and everyone's astounded. I mean, they're just not used to seeing a shul that looks like this. Everyone's supportive and loving, and it's really important. It's really the right way to raise a child, having a strong synagogue in the background for that.
Now there's been a sort of a rejuvenation. The area is so nice, like people are moving back. You know, we're just one of the couples that have come back into the area.
The people that we've met here have been really wonderful. We love the rabbi and the rebbetzin, and their entire family have been very welcoming.
The rabbi is kind of the fire in the synagogue. He's the person who sort of draws people to it and welcomes you, and also is just always hospitable to everybody and bringing them into his house and to the synagogue. And Eugene is just, he's the man behind the scenes. He's the one who keeps everything working. He is the undeniable president of the synagogue and kept it going for all these years when there was no one here. And all throughout that time, Eugene was able to keep the synagogue alive for us to use and benefit from. We got engaged a couple of blocks away on the Lower East Side. We met a couple of blocks away on the Lower East Side.
We had our engagement party here.
We did have our engagement party here, and I had my Ufra here. It's definitely a part of our family history and will definitely continue to be.
I've been with Chassam Sofer for about 20 years, since I'm a teenager. I'm a programmer. I write programs for all sorts of different industries, pharmaceuticals, consumer products. My father read the Torah when he was young. He taught me how to lane, and he told me I thank him for it. It was a lot of hard work when I was little. Going to shul and Torah study on a daily basis provides a distinct Jewish experience that really keeps the continuity going. And that is the secret to preserving the Torah and keeping it alive.
Keeping the Torah alive and in the presence of Jewish communities around the world is the ultimate goal for Hank Yaakov Sofer. Within the last few years, 4 Sefer Torahs have been written and dedicated. The Chassam Sofer Synagogue on the Lower East Side of New York, the Shul of Bal Harbor in Miami, Florida, a Torah that is constantly traveling around the world to inspire military personnel, and a 4th, which resides at the Pentagon in Washington, D.C., on the sacred ground where on September 11, 2001, terrorists crashed a plane into the west wall of the Pentagon, killing 184 people. I believe, Hank Yaakov Sofer says, that the Torah and the synagogue that holds them spell the survival of Judaism in America. And just as the synagogue shelters the Torah, so has this great country of ours sheltered Judaism. What could emphasize more greatly the gratitude Jews have for America than placing the symbol of Judaism in the sacred halls of the Pentagon? Today, my pride for the Sofer family legacy that has been writing Torahs for hundreds of years, and my pride in the USA knows no bounds. And I thank God for allowing me to participate in this glorious dedication today. God bless America, and God bless our servicemen and women who protect our great country.
30 years ago, when Hank Sofer first met Moses Weiser, I don't think anybody had the foresight like Hank did what the shul would become. He understood what was going on in the neighborhood. He believed in something. And he was a man that takes his beliefs and carries them through. Today it's a growing shul. Any given Sham this morning, come into daven with us and see the crowd we have. It's a totally free shul. The only thing you have to bring when you come here is your soul. Never charge for anything. The idea is we don't pay to pray. When the phone rings and it's somebody calling, they need a place to make a bris, a bar mitzvah, or in some cases even a wedding. It shows the shul we're building here is a shul which people want to be part of, which people want to belong to. Hank Sofer had that vision, and for that we will forever be thankful for his most sincere generosity to our shul.